High blood pressure can lead to heart disease, kidney disease, and stroke. Is your blood pressure within normal range? Check it, detect it, treat it, and live.
One of America's biggest social problems is the care and feeding of the poor and homeless. Well, one little boy is doing more than his share to help the people of his city with getting food, clothing, and shelter. He's 11-year-old Trevor Ferrell. He and his dad, Frank, are here with us. Frank and Trevor are here from Philadelphia, as you might have guessed from that first introduction a little bit earlier. Welcome to our city.
Well, thank you.
Nice
it's a
to have you
city.
here. Thank you. We think so.
Yeah, maybe I'm seeing it because it's such a beautiful day. Maybe I'm seeing it in an extra nice light, but it is very nice.
It is a nice city. It's a very nice city. We're proud of Cleveland. We are. Philadelphia as well is a nice city.
Oh, well, thank you.
Trevor is doing some marvelous things to make the city even better. 11-year-old, and a lot of weight is on your shoulders, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Not actually, literally. Yeah. Meaning, I mean, you're taking on a big job, aren't you, Trevor?
Yes, but I have a lot of people helping.
You do. Why don't you share the story with everyone at home, how this all started for you? It started when you were watching a television news report, is that right?
Yes, one night I didn't know what was on TV. I got a little bored, so I was just flicking the channels, see what's on TV, and I saw street people living on the streets, and I said, Dad, do they really live like that? He said, sure. I said, right here in Philadelphia? He said, yes. I said, well, why don't we go down and help them? We'll just see them. He said, no. I said, okay, please. I finally got him to go down. Then I grabbed the blanket and the pillow going out. And that's how it really all started.
And your first stop, as you remember, was what?
Was in front of the Union League building, and he had white socks and very little clothing.
The man who was there, who you found. Did you give him that blanket you had with you?
Yes, blanket and pillow.
You did. What was his response that very first time? We have some other stories we'll share with you, but that very first person, when maybe you were a little bit nervous about it because you didn't know what you were getting into, and they had certainly never seen anything like this before.
No. Well, what happened was I was going to go out, give him something, and have my dad follow me.
Yeah.
So I'll get out. My dad's following me. My mom's in the car rolling up the windows and locking the doors and ready to go. And I gave her a blanket. My dad stood a couple feet behind me, and he said, thank you very much. God bless you.
The person on the street said that to you?
Yes.
Isn't that nice? And you were there?
Yes, I was there, and I was apprehensive at first going into the city.
I would think so, which is normal. I think any parent would think the same thing, because you don't know really what you're getting into. And your mom was in the car locking the doors, rolling up the windows, which is what many people are conditioned to believe, that there's danger there. With that in mind, what were some of the things you did to try to stop him? Did you try to talk him out of it before he started begging you?
Oh, yes. I said, Trevor, they just take my word for it. They are people who live like as he was seeing on television. Mm-hmm. And he just kept prodding, and kids have a way of, come on, please, Dad. And so I gave in. Of course, a part of me said to myself, too, I should be honest, let's let this kid see what the rest of the world is really like.
That's right, because obviously you were living in another part of town, a nice part of town where you didn't see some of the tragedy of life.
Yeah.
We have a couple of, why don't we look at just a couple of pictures while we have a moment here, and maybe you can look at the pictures, Trevor, and share with us what you remember about your encounter with the various people. For example, right here.
Well, we only saw him one night, and we drove up in the station wagon. I jumped out, went over to him and asked, would you like something to eat? He said, sure. So I went to the back of the van. Now it's a van somebody donated to us, but then it was a station wagon we had to file in. So I brought out a chicken leg and potatoes.
You remember it to detail, don't you?
Yeah. And I said, here you go. He said, thank you very much. I started talking to him about where he's from. He said, I come from West Virginia, and he loves chicken.
Yeah. All right, here's another one.
That's the same.
That's the same man. Okay, we'll get another one for
when I gave him that, he said, thank you very, very much.
Yes, I bet. Has there ever been any danger, Frank?
No, we've been doing it for 6 months.
Yes.
And we've only had, how many have rejected you?
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
What do they reject because they think it's a trap? What?
They're not trusting.
Yes.
It takes a while to build up trust with many of them. But they don't, they're not upset about it. They don't jump all over Trevor. They just say, no, thank you, I don't want anything.
This whole thing has expanded many-fold since that first trip with the blanket. and your car, hasn't it? Maybe you can tell us about that. There's a house now that someone has donated for you?
Yes, we didn't solicit, we didn't ask for anything, and someone called and said, I want to give your son a van. I couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
a van. And it was welcome to serve the people with.
Yeah.
So we accepted the van, and then someone said, we want to give Trevor a home. We know that he wants to house the homeless. And they've given him a 33-room house. It's an old rooming house. It has 19 bathrooms in it.
How do you take care of it? I mean, the cost of maintaining a house that size.
Yes, I know. It's something we feel at times it may be something we've bitten off more than we can
Yes.
chew. But the help is coming in from all areas. People like Jack Klugman and Ann Baxter.
Hear about this
Yes.
and want to get involved because obviously there is a need. Tell us about this person, Trevor.
Well, this is that same night, and I gave her another potato, chicken leg, and coffee. And we saw her from the very beginning, and her name's Minnie. And once she was at the subway entrance, and a policeman came in, and not all policemen are like that. This is maybe just one out of a lot of them. Came in and just said, you're not allowed to stay in here, and chased them out, and she was really scared.
Oh, yes.
And we see her a lot, but now she's somewhere in New Jersey.
Right. And this one?
This is, we call him, he calls himself Hammer, so we call him Hammer.
Hammer.
And, Hammer, yeah. And he says he calls himself Hammer because he likes hammering things, and he just thinks he says he's really good at it.
Do they like to share stories, these people, of their lives? And maybe if at one point in their lives they had children, and when they see you, they're reminded of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They really don't talk about that very much.
They don't like to talk about that. Now, what about in the house? How do you decide who is going to come to your home?
Well, we're trying, well.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they
it's
all
'cause I
need
wouldn't
shelter.
wanna turn her any
That's right.
way.
Yeah, we have 4 people staying there now. We're in the midst of renovating it. We've put in a new electrical system,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's more than you think. You think, gee, you could just open the door and have anyone come in. But we have to screen them now, and we hope to get a staff together.
And how
of
long can they
competent people.
stay?
They're welcome to stay indefinitely. We will encourage them to better themselves and improve their lives and move on. But there's no time limit. We're not saying you can only stay a week and then you must get out.
Right.
No.
This has had to turn into a full-time job for you as well, Frank, hasn't it? You can't
It
be, though. I
has.
mean, you can't. It has, though?
It has, and I'm here to announce right here in Cleveland, the very first time mentioned anywhere, and I don't want this to come over as a commercial.
All right.
But Trevor has been incorporated. They're doing a movie on his life. Harper and Row is. Oh, I wasn't
That's
supposed
all
to
right.
mention some things.
Well, that's all right.
But Trevor is going to make his campaign, and the newspaper started calling it
Yes.
Trevor's campaign.
Yes.
He's gone nationwide with it because we've had such a response from all the people.
Yes, for helping the people.
Yes, we're not asking for any money. Anyone can become a member of the campaign and on Trevor's team and receive a newsletter. All they have to do is just do one kind thing, one good thing towards another human being.
In their community, wherever
in their
it might
community,
be.
wherever it is. An act from a child helping an adult. Could be just the woman up the street going to see her in a hospital.
Who would have known what that news that you saw would have evolved into this? We have to pause very briefly. Come back. We're going to take a break. Take some calls from you when we come back. 5781.